No.
The Mysterious Township, where everyone ends up after encountering a fallen tree on a long drive, is an unforgiving place. Getting into the town that John Griffin created is a matter of bad luck. But to get out of there? Whoo boy, that's a whole different story. This town has many secrets, some more life-threatening than others. But today, we'll be looking at one of the more harmless secrets. The Farway trees. These sporadically placed trees with hollowed-out trunks can do wonders for anyone who steps into them. But how do these trees work? What is their significance in this horrifying nightmare that all the people are living in this unnamed town? That is what we're going to find out in today's video, so lock your doors and windows and get ready to dive in. Before we go into our explanation, we have a very small request. If you like our content, please support us by subscribing to our channel. This is a small click for you, but for us, it means a lot. Thank you. Let's begin.
My mother said this one was special, that it would take her to the tower, to the children.
What are the Farway trees? These mysterious trees show up in various locations throughout the unnamed township. The first time we get to see them is in the 4th episode of Season 1, titled A Rock and a Farway. The episode starts off with a flashback, where we see a child, Victor, step out of the root cellar, which is at the far end of the town. The town, which is usually full of people going about their day despite their horrible predicament, is quiet. It's almost like there's nothing alive. Sadly, that's what turns out to be the truth when Victor looks around. Everyone in the town was murdered in the most brutal ways you can think of, their bodies adorning the streets, the porches, everything like a macabre decoration. In the present, however, things are not as dire. Victor is seen in the colony house, drawing Julie with his crayons as she sleeps. Obviously, Julie feels uncomfortable when she wakes up, but Victor doesn't mind it. He keeps on talking about his dreams, which he now realizes are not dreams at all. Julie's family, who decided to live in the town instead, are shown next. Tabitha, her mother, is seen crying over Julie leaving them, whereas Jim, her father, decides to take Ethan, her little brother, out for food at the diner. At the diner, the moment the father and son step in, the jukebox on top of the table turns on. Sarah, the waitress, introduced herself to them and told them she was glad they came, as Ms. Liu wanted to make something special for them. Tianchen brings out a stack of pancakes for Ethan, which he obviously is delighted about. She comforts Jim before leaving the two boys to enjoy the food. Ethan wonders if this is where they would live from now on, and Jim tells him to think of this as a vacation. Ethan, on the other hand, pipes up and says he thinks he's on a quest, just like his toy Norman went on a quest to the Lake of Tears. Jim agrees with Ethan, trying to keep the child's spirits up, and Ethan says that sometimes he thinks his brother Thomas, who passed away a while ago, is on a hero's quest himself. Understandably, Jim is affected by this innocent thought and is unwilling to let his son see him cry, so he excuses himself to the washroom, where he breaks down. Say what you want, but you cannot deny that Jim is a very good dad. While Jim is away in the bathroom composing himself, Victor enters the diner. The first thing he says is that the trees moved 4 inches closer. What an odd statement, right? Ethan asks if it's good or bad, and Victor confirms that it's bad. Ethan wonders if they should tell anyone, but Victor refuses, as no one would understand. But this is not why Victor came here. He wanted to ask if Ethan, too, saw the boy in white, this mysterious young boy that Victor saw as a child when he got out of the root cellar and found the entire town dead. Victor shows Ethan one of the drawings he made, and Ethan confirms, much to Victor's despair. Ethan notices the worry and asks what's wrong with the situation. Victor barely manages to say that this means the boy in the white is real before Jim shows up. Jim sees Victor in a deep conversation with his son, and he doesn't know anything better. No father would want an older man hanging out with his son when he's not around, so Jim reacts. He tells Victor to go away and stay away from Ethan in an understandably angry manner. Ethan scolds his father, hoping his father will listen and stop, but Jim tells Ethan it's time to go, and they walk out of the diner, leaving the plate of pancakes unfinished. But this wouldn't be the last time they see Victor. After Jim and Ethan return home, Jim tries to apologize to Ethan, as the boy is clearly distraught about his anger towards Victor, whom Ethan considers a friend. Jim tries to apologize, but Ethan tells him to go away and he wants to be alone. Leaving Ethan inside the house, Jim sits outside on the porch and looks at the picture that Victor gave Ethan. When Tabitha comes back after a very tense confrontation with Julie, the parents end up in a bit of a fight. We learn that they were on the verge of divorce, as the death of Thomas left quite a mark on their marriage. The trip they were on before they ended up here was supposed to be a last hurrah, as they fully intended to keep the divorce a secret. However, Julie knew about it, and that was why she chose to stay at the colony house, where Tabitha learned the hard way when she showed up there to give Julie her sweater. Jim tries to tell Tabitha that everything will be okay, doing his best to comfort his wife, only for her to snap and tell him that nothing is okay. Jim's words are not comforting to hear, but taxing, as they make them feel like they're doing something wrong at all times. Jim tries to retort, saying it's not fair, but Tabitha shuts it down quickly, pointing out that the last 14 months after Thomas' death were not fair for anyone else either. While the parents argue, Ethan overhears everything. While he may not understand the nuances of these complex emotions his parents feel, he knew that things were never not as put together or as fine as they were desperately trying to make it seem. That's why when Ethan notices Victor out back, he does not think twice to go to him. Victor tells Ethan that it's important they find the boy in white and ask him why he's back. Ethan tells Victor that he cannot go, but Victor insists that he joins. Since the boy in white showed himself to Ethan, Ethan is the chosen one, just like Victor once was. Ethan, in his childlike innocence, wonders out loud if this is like a quest, and Victor agrees. Ethan hurt his leg on arrival, and he uses a crutch to move around. However, since quests do not go hand in hand with crutches, Victor gives Ethan a branch instead, as it would be more befitting. Together, they traverse through the forest, with Victor explaining how he thought the boy in white was a dream when he first appeared when two cars came into this mysterious town together on the same day. This is a rare occurrence, as the next time it happened, it was when Ethan and his family ended up here. This leads us to learn that Victor has been here for a long time, longer than any of the townspeople. Ethan asks Victor about his parents, but Victor immediately gets defensive and angry. Perhaps to soothe his friend in a way, Ethan tells Victor about his brother who passed away, shocking Victor. Ethan confesses that he's telling Victor all of this because Victor is his friend, which is genuinely such a sweet moment. But this moment is cut short when Victor spots the fabled boy in white walking through the forest. Immediately, Victor and Ethan go after him, hoping to catch up to this mysterious character. While following the boy in white, who randomly disappears after a turn, Ethan and Victor come across a tree that's not quite like the others around it. It has a gaping hollow in its trunk. This is the Farway tree. Victor shows Ethan how it works by picking up a rock and painting a smiling face on it. Upon throwing it into the gaping hollow, the rock disappears, only to fall close to them from the sky. Ethan, like most of us, is amazed by this tree. Victor further explains, saying that the tree works for humans too, but there's no guarantee of where they will end up once they step in. This particular tree, he notes, is a new one. Victor probably would have said more, but he gets distracted by barking, which reminds him of his childhood. He saw the boy in white and a dog near all of those dead bodies when he ventured into the town that horrifying day. Jim and Tabitha, on the other hand, are out, frantically searching for Ethan. When they stopped arguing, they called out for Ethan but got no answer. After searching the house, they found Ethan's crutch behind the house, making it clear that the boy had ventured into the forest. As the parents look for Ethan, calling out to him, they soon realize that they're not alone. They're surrounded by dogs that look awfully similar to the ones in Victor's memories. However, before the dogs do anything, Victor and Ethan show up. Victor scares the dogs away with a shot from his revolver, which he keeps in his lunchbox. While Ethan is ecstatic to see his parents, Jim and Tabitha are frightened by Victor, who very clearly took Ethan away. Jim steps up and warns Victor to stay away. As he takes menacing steps toward Victor, the latter points his revolver to Jim and promises he will never hurt Ethan and he's not a bad person before making his escape. The next time we see Victor in this episode, he's seen digging graves in the yard of the colony house, saying that he's trying to get a head start this time around, clearly implying things are about to go south real soon. In episode 7 of season 1, titled All Good Things, we see Julie at the colony house finally settling in. Fatima, the girl who befriended Julie in the 4th episode, is getting a party. Everyone is celebrating the day she got stuck in the town as a sign of hope to look forward to. While the whole house is getting ready to party and celebrate Fatima, something is happening that has begun unbeknownst to everyone else. Victor, who seems to know things are about to go down, asks to be left alone, when Ellis, Fatima's boyfriend, offers him a drink. When Donna, the head of the colony house, shows up to get Ellis away from Victor, he points out how this was the first time they didn't have any peaches. While Donna apologizes, thinking Victor is sad about the lack of peaches, we, the audience, can see that he's more perplexed by the changing norms. We see Kevin, one of the members of the colony house, leave a bunch of flowers out on the porch, as someone asks him to get inside before it gets dark. Once inside, the party starts in full swing. After a hearty toast to Fatima, Ellis, who's clearly drunk, is taken upstairs and asked to lie down. While Fatima shares a kiss with her fling, Stacy, Julie awkwardly stares at them as they kiss. Later, when Fatima and Julie get a moment to talk, Julie asks Fatima about her relationship with Stacy. Fatima explains that this is something just for fun, which leads to Julie awkwardly asking if Fatima would kiss her too. Fatima is obviously taken aback by this request, and Julie takes her silent rejection and runs away embarrassed. She walks into Victor's room, asking to be there for a while as she's having a bad night. Victor's not too happy about it, but he relents, letting her in. He keeps packing up his things, which Judy notices and asks him about his destination. Victor brushes her question aside, saying it would be too hard to explain, but Julie is relentless. She asks Victor questions about the town, which Victor's not too happy about. But this questionnaire session soon ends when the bells are rung in the colony house and screaming ensues. Remember Kevin? Yeah, well, he's in love with a creature he calls Jasmine. The flowers he left out on the porch? Yeah, they were for this creature. He slipped away to the bathroom to speak with this creature through the window. The creature asked him to open the window for her and let her inside, as she was dying to touch him and taste him. Kevin didn't want to do it at first, but when Jasmine turned away to leave, he relented. haunted. The creature stepped in and closed the window, telling Kevin that she had never lied to him, which elated Kevin. Kevin kissed her passionately, not noticing that his sentiments were not reciprocated. As you can guess, the creature killed him off and opened the windows to let others in, which led to a massacre. Julie and Victor heard the people running outside, and Julie panicked. Victor calmly guided her to safety and helped her down the rope that he had already prepared for their escape. Fatima and Donna, on the other hand, notice Ellis and Julie missing while guiding everyone else into the van. Donna volunteers to go back to look for them, but Fatima sends her away, asking her to follow protocol. While Fatima eventually saves Ellis, she does not find Julie in the house. This is because Julie and Victor were out in the forest, even though Julie does not want to follow Victor, as the forest is where the creatures come from. Victor notices the boy in white after climbing out of his window and decides to go there. Victor brought Julie to a Farway tree and told her to step in and tell Ethan that it was starting. Julie could not understand anything, but Victor insisted that Ethan would know, and he was going to be right behind her. Julie steps inside the Farway tree and ends up in the root cellar that we saw Victor climb out of in the 4th episode, but Victor is nowhere to be seen. What happened to him? Well, we find out in the 10th episode of the season titled, Oh, the Places We'll Go. Boyd, the sheriff of this town, and Ellis' father decides to take Sarah with him and venture deep into the forest, hoping to find a way out. He saw his best friend, Priest Katri, die in his arms, and felt like he had to do something. Sarah, who's revealed to share a very strange bond with the town with her almost psychic abilities, was chosen as Boyd's companion. Together they ventured into the forest, but in the middle of the night, with a bright light all over their tent, the tent was dragged away. When Boyd and Sarah finally step out of it, they find themselves in a region covered in huge spider webs. Boyd hears a woman calling out for help and follows the voice, hoping that would be the way out. But as he walks deeper and deeper into the forest, more and more spider webs are seen looming around him. He finally comes across his wife Abby, who passed away covered in spider webs. This apparition reached out and grabbed Boyd's hand, leading him to step on the spider egg sac and release several of them. Boyd reacted immediately, taking off his shirt and brushing off as many as he could. However, some of them managed to bite him, despite Sarah's help. Sarah asks Boyd what he saw or heard, as she never heard the cries for help. Boyd, however, refuses to tell her anything, and keeps moving toward the direction the light came from. Realizing this was not a safe place to stay, Boyd and Sarah kept moving. But soon it became evident that the poison from the spider bites was affecting Boyd a lot. Sarah reminded him that they were moving toward the giant light that they saw, as that could be their way out, and he needed to keep moving. However, what they thought to be a floodlight turned out to be the light from a lighthouse. That was also the place that was sounding the horns that Sarah and Boyd kept hearing. Seeing as there wasn't a way out, Boyd gave up. He wanted Sarah to keep moving, for if she stopped, they both would be dead. With the imminent storm approaching and his health clearly on the decline, Boyd didn't want to keep moving. Sarah, however, refused to leave him. Just then, the boy in white shows up. He tells Sarah that Nathan is right about it and that this place is angry. He urged Sarah and Boyd to get to safety and pointed out a Farway tree. Boyd gets in first, with Sarah following after him, only to end up in a narrow tunnel with barely any space to move. This turned out to be the bottom of a dry well. Back at the town, everyone is seen working together with Jade and Jim, who came up with a way to create a radio to catch a signal and send an SOS message out. They finally figured out how to power up the radio, so everyone was busy with it. Everyone except Tabitha. Tabitha was busy digging under the house and trying to figure out where the electrical lines led. Jim and Jade found out that the lines they had didn't actually have cables in them. There should not be a way for the electrical appliances in the town to be supplied with electricity, but somehow they are. So Tabitha continued digging, as this would be the backup plan in case the radio failed. However, the radio actually worked. While Boyd and Sarah saw the storm approaching the town, Jim tried as many channels as he could, until suddenly his message was received. As Jim tries to explain his predicament, the voice on the other end says his full name. Then, in a rather snarky way, he tells Jim that his wife should not be digging the hole. Shocked, Jim runs toward the house only to find it collapsed. It turns out that Tabitha got a pickaxe from the bartender's tool shed. She brought it back and was using it to hack away at the basement of her house. With one last stroke, the rock underneath her gave away and she fell into a cave. Before she could freak out, however, Victor showed up. Apparently, by stepping into the same tree, Victor was transported back here, under the house that Julie lived in, inside the cave where the creatures slept. He asked Tabitha to be quiet and follow him to safety. Season 1 of the show ends here, leaving us wondering just what is up with the trees and if they are really of help. Well, the second season actually has a solid answer for that. What happened to Tabitha after going inside the tree? The season finale of Season 2, titled Once Upon a Time, is where we get to see another Farway tree in this mysterious town. But this tree is not like the other ones so far. Julie, Randall, and Mary are comatose thanks to the cicadas. Boyd knows that he brought something back from the forest, something that triggered a new evil other than the creatures that they usually deal with. Tabitha, who had already lost her infant, could not bear to see her daughter lying on the bed like that. Throughout the season, Tabitha had visions of a tunnel and stairwell of ghostly kids. She learned from Victor that that his mother too mentioned the same visions. She felt like she had to go to the lighthouse and save the kids, and perhaps that would end up being the answer to all of their problems. Tabitha felt like it was her calling. Hearing Julie scream in her comatose state while her pupils were turned completely gray was not a sight that Tabitha was ready to sit and watch. So after insisting that she needed to do this, Jim, Tabitha, and Victor left. While Victor's mom could not tell him the way to the lighthouse, she did tell him about a special kind of Farway tree known as the bottle tree. This tree looks like any other Farway tree, but for some reason, it's completely adorned with bottles hanging from it. What happened after stepping into the tree was not something Victor could tell Tabitha about, as he found his mother's body near the bottle tree when he went to look out for her after coming out of the root cellar. She never made it inside. With a heavy heart, Tabitha bid Victor goodbye and stepped inside the bottle tree. On the other side, Tabitha finds the gate to the lighthouse. She climbs up the stairs, realizing whatever she sees are the visions about this place. As she climbed up the stairs, Tabitha often heard children saying "Ankui" in whispers. These voices guided her to the top of the lighthouse. She stood there, gazing out at the vast expanse, when suddenly the boy in white appeared out of nowhere. He apologizes to her, saying this is the only way, and pushes her. The next time Tabitha opens her eyes, she's in a hospital. It dawns on her that she managed to get out of the town, and that's confirmed by the doctor who checks in on her. Dr. Brody tells Tabitha that she was found 3 days ago by hikers in the woods, and currently she's in St. Anthony's Hospital. It's clear that the Farway trees, specifically the bottle tree, are very important for getting out of the township, but there are so many questions about them, such as, how can it teleport people? Are they random? Now, one of the glaring questions that we've all wondered about is how these Farway trees work. Are they gateways, portals, or is it something else? Well, there's not much detail about their workings. Given how the show depends heavily upon the mysterious and magical elements, it could be that this whole town is a place created by an evil entity. There are mysticisms, curses, and demons running rampant all over the town. These trees act as a gate, a shortcut perhaps, that one can use to travel. The Farway trees work randomly, there's no doubt about it. The same tree that sent Julie to the root cellar sent Victor to the underground cave system, where the kids told him to wait for Tabitha. Similarly, the tree put Boyd in the dry well, which started all the problems of the second season, as the boy in white claimed the tree would take him to someplace safe, but it did not. It could be that the tree sent Boyd there because this is where he needed to go, just like Victor needed to be there, under the cave system, to help Tabitha out when she eventually dug her way through the basement. And that's just my personal opinion. As for the bottle tree, traditionally, these trees are used to ward off evil. Perhaps that's why this tree is a special one that always takes its users to the lighthouse, the one that would save everyone. But it could be that it was necessary for Boyd to defeat the cicadas and the music box thing first. Otherwise, maybe the lighthouse would not open. Victor has hinted several times that these things that we're seeing have happened before. It's just like Kenny said, just because they're a thread and cannot see the sweater does not mean they do not matter. Because of everything Eloise and Victor's mom found out, Tabitha was able to get out. Do these trees have awareness? As Victor mentioned, no one really knows where they will end up once they step into the tree. Victor stepped in after Julie because the boy in white had told him to. The same goes for Sarah and Boyd. It seems like the trees are either choosing where to send the person where it is absolutely necessary, or they're being controlled by some bigger entity, maybe the big bad evil that is orchestrating everything in the first place. I personally think the trees are out of control. The sign that Jade has been obsessing over for so long turns out to be 3 roots that join together, so it could be that these 3 roots connect all the Farway trees. I noticed that each Farway tree seemed like it had a few roots wrapped around it like a coil. Perhaps these roots and the 7 children of the cave dictate where the people end up. While Boyd almost died after ending up in the dry well, as I said, it could have been a crucial step in figuring out the way out of town. If this theory is considered to be true, then the kids in the trees intentionally sent Boyd there so that he could first release the monster, the dream death phenomenon, and then either defeat it or get completely wiped out. Since they defeated it, Tabitha managed to get out. Another idea that supports this theory is that every time someone is transported through the tree, they end up near or in basements. Boyd is at the bottom of the tower, Sarah is at the church basement, Tabitha is at the bottom of the lighthouse, Victor is under the house, and Julie is in the cellar after traveling using the trees. Given we've only seen these trees used a few times, it's hard to deduce just how aware or random they are. Marvelous verdict. There's no doubt in my mind that Season 3 of From will be absolutely wild. We have many interesting premises and unanswered questions. Perhaps this season will be the one where we learn more about the Farway trees. What do you think they are? Gates or portals? What are your opinions about them? Let us know in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time. And if you like our content, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to us if you haven't already. Have a good one and be safe. Thanks everyone.